So while reading this story, I was reminded of Mother Teresa, who said abortion is the greatest poverty because it pits a woman against her own child. And now we see the radical feminist movement taking that premise and extending it past birth as well. So I want to know, what was your reaction to this article?
Yeah, this article is shocking. It's really interesting to read Emily talking about resenting the fact that she could potentially be having a boy. There's a big movement, and I've seen this, others have probably seen, there's a big movement of women, particularly on the left, particularly celebrities, elites, who maybe don't realize there's really big, important things to be fighting for, of just hating on men and hating on the fact that they could create men. And so the logic there is missing in the fact that they are hating that they can create men. They don't acknowledge that they're creating a human being. This story in Vogue, Emily is a big pro-abortion advocate. And she talks about, gender stereotypes and her concern with having a male. But the only credit I can give her is that she's acknowledging she is creating a human being. That is something she's starting to see. The sad part is, though, that her sort of thinking where she's hating on the fact that she could bring a man into this world is the kind of thinking that leads towards horrific crime, horrific human rights abuses, sex selective abortion, abortion in general. That's still legal in this country. And there's no federal law saying that you cannot just say, I don't want a boy or I don't want a girl, and go to the abortion facility and get it. And that we know that happens. Live Action, Lila Rose, we've been exposing that. You can go and for any reason get an abortion thanks to Roe v. Wade and its companion case, Doe v. Bolton. And that's why, we continue to remind people, Roe v. Wade, Doe v. Bolton, these are dangerous, dangerous laws that hurt men and women. And there's a big push right now to say, hey, let's do what we can to have more girls and less guys. And we are absolutely against that. I had a baby girl. I know that pregnancy can be hard, but I'm also pro-boy. I'm pro-girl. I'm pro-boy. I want them to acknowledge the life that they're bringing into the world. And the normal, natural response is gratitude, not resentment.
And that's, I think, is the main driving force right now of this radical feminism is hatred and anger, hatred for your child, hatred for here we're women, and one of our greatest values that we bring to the table is our motherhood, our ability to create and to shelter life for 9 months and then give birth to that. And the feminist movement tries to twist women's brains into hating that very nature of themselves. You see Emily in this article talking about how she resents how her husband doesn't have to also carry the child. She resents that she harbors some of his DNA inside of her in this child, but that he doesn't have the same with her. And it's a lot of hatred and a lot of resentment there that pits not only men against women, but women against their own children.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. And as I was reading this article, I was thinking, man, I wish I could send Emily a book called Subverted. It's by Sue Ellen Browder. I think you guys have actually talked to her on the show before. And she talks about how radical feminism started to take on abortion when it didn't have to. The women's movement did important things. It made sure that women could get credit in their name, could own houses, could be flight attendants without losing your job for gaining weight or turning 30, whichever came first. But it was hijacked by an abortion industry and pro-abortion men. And now there's this big fray, right, in what it means to be a woman and pro-woman. And so I want to send Emily that and encourage her, if she ever sees this, to read that and know that you're being duped. The reason that you're resentful, the reason that so many women that we hear from at Live Action who are scared and torn is because there's an industry, there's a marketing movement to lie to you, to tell you that you're not strong enough, you can't do this, you're alone. And the pro-life movement says you can, you should, and you will be supported in choosing life for the child that you create. I find it odd that Emily resents the man that she consented to marry and start a family with. But that's how loud these voices can be from the outside pushing in. So we'd welcome her to come check out Live Action stuff, check out what you guys are covering, and know that the life you're creating is going to be beautiful, no matter if it's a boy or a girl. And I want Emily to acknowledge medical reality, scientific reality, that there's life in the womb. She seems to maybe be getting closer since she's concerned about gender now, but to stop fighting against these pro-life laws. Emily and other celebrities like her have, used Instagram and other platforms to draw attention to pro-life laws and hated on them. Instead, she should support them and realize that they bring life into the world. And we want all moms, to have this type of support that Emily very much likely has around her in friends and family and people cheering her on. So